Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming. Not sure if we should wait a couple minutes to let more people join or if we should get started.
I will make another announcement in the Hootsuite channel, but I know where it's already 5:04, so feel free to get started and hopefully more people will join as we continue.
Okay, thank you very much. I will share my screen and we'll get started. So thank you for joining our session. My name is Sean Calley, and I'm a software manager at Hootsuite. I've been here for about 4.5 years, starting as a developer and working up through as a team lead, and then now running a team within our portfolio, our product infrastructure team. So today we're just going to run through a high-level introduction to our application ecosystem. So we're going to talk about the technologies that Hootsuite uses, what it takes to build within our ecosystem, and then if there's any questions at the end, I'm happy to answer what I can. So just a quick introduction to Hootsuite. We are the most widely used social media management platform globally. So currently we have over 18 million users, and in our app directory, which constitutes our ecosystem, there's over 200 apps. These applications, I'm just going to skip ahead here. These applications, for example, are working with some of the largest names in technology today, including Adobe, IBM, SAP, Slack, plus a whole other segment here, and it crosses various lines within the industry. Some numbers here just to show you kind of the volume that Hootsuite works at. As I said, we have about 18 million users worldwide. We have ad generation of about $1 million per day, 3 billion fans and followers across various social media, 3,000 plus enterprise customers, 800 out of 1,000 of the Fortune 1000 companies work with us. We've been considered a leader within the Forrester Wave social media management solutions, which is a really important designation. We currently process about 28 million messages per week to various social networks. And there's about 80 times more messages that are sent through us than through any of our leading competitors. I'm going to talk a little bit about our technology stack. So within Hootsuite, we primarily build our infrastructure on microservices. We used to have a PHP monolith that we've slowly been decomposing over several years into microservices. Currently, we have a mix of Scala, Go, PHP, JavaScript services, primarily communicating to each other and externally by HTTP and gRPC. Our front-end applications have historically been PHP MVC architectures, but we've predominantly moved on to use React as the primary technology for front-end. Many of our apps, such as we'll talk about in a little bit, are built as streams. They use plugins and use content sources, and then also use media libraries and pre-screen integrations, which is basically for validating and verifying that information can be sent, so you have an authorization chain. I'm going to talk a little bit here about what's going to be available to you as part of this hackathon. So this is kind of what I would say is the important part of this presentation for you. So I'm going to talk about the left-hand side of my screen here, which is about the SDK apps. So Hootsuite builds on a JavaScript SDK for allowing you to create streams and stream plugins and data sources. This is going to be the basis for any kind of hack or any kind of integration that you're going to be building here. On top of that, we provide several REST APIs, and I'm going to primarily point out the publishing one here, which is essentially the ability for you to push media onto social media, to push content onto social media. Many of the other APIs here are available more if you're an enterprise level user, but I'm going to strongly suggest that if you're going to set up just a free account through Hootsuite for the purpose of this hackathon, that you're going to focus primarily on setting up your stream-based application and using the publishing API here. Several of the REST APIs here, for example, Amplify or Owly or Compliance, require more enterprise level access, and that's sometimes a bit trickier to set up and it will take longer. And within the context of a hackathon, I just say stick to simple things and get something working. Pardon me while my browser spins for a moment. So here's the steps that you're going to need to be able to plug into the Hootsuite APIs and SDKs. If you haven't already, you'll need to create a Hootsuite account. So the link is there for you to create a free account. If you want to go further and create a paid account, there are additional pages that allow you to do that. Once you've created that account, you'll need to register as a developer. And the link is there for being able to do that. Several of my colleagues are available this weekend to help authenticate developer requests and get you set up as quickly as possible. Once you've created, once you're set up here, you're going to need to create an app. And to do that, there are steps that I'll get to in a couple of slides to help you with that. And then after you've done that, you can get everything set up in terms of getting your API access authenticated. So there is a way to message us through the Discord channel if you do need additional help to get set up. This slide here with these links is going to be quite important. The Hootsuite Developer Guide has detailed documentation around both the SDK and around the APIs that are available. I highly recommend going to the sample app part of this, where there is enough code to get you started. It's basically the ability to get you set up as a stream with a content source so you can start to read in information. And then beyond that, you can start to use the publishing API to push content out to social media. In a richer environment, shall we say, beyond a hackathon, this is essentially the development lifecycle that we promote. We want you to set up your developer account and get started building a Hootsuite app. Once you're doing that, you want to build, unit test it, and make sure everything is good. And then you want to have a robust QA and go-to-market strategy, which for this purposes, the go-to-market, having communications and such like that is going to be overkill. Then there's the app launch, which is basically pushing it into our app store and making it available. And then post-launch app support effectively requires receiving communications, bug fixes, applying patches, etc. So this is, again, just a breakdown of some of those post-integration launch responsibilities. Beyond a hackathon, of course, we ask that developers are looking at bug fixes, have timely responses to notifications, and are going to be pushing any updates, for example, if we upgrade our SDKs or the APIs. So I'm quite happy to take any questions if there are any at this time. Well, if there's no questions, some of my colleagues will be available across the Discord channel that has been set up over the weekend. So by all means, please contact them there. Otherwise, I really hope that you have a successful weekend and have a lot of fun in your hacking. Thank you very much.
Hi, Sean. I think there are some questions in the chat actually for you.
And I can't see them. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, there are.
Yeah, I think if you click workshop, the workshop tab in the chat, it should be there.
Yes, thank you. So I believe that the slide deck should be published as I believe it's to the the Hopin, or at least possibly to the Discord channel itself. So those links will be available. If they haven't been already, I'll make sure that they are. To the question from Justin about suggesting to use the publishing API, I would strongly make that suggestion. The other ones that we reference, for example, the Amplify and Owly and Compliance APIs, are strongly tied to enterprise use. If you're just going to create a free account and try to create a basic application as part of this hackathon, I'd suggest sticking to the publishing API because it's something that doesn't require extra setup. Thanks, Justin. If there's any more questions, I can hang out for a couple more minutes. I believe there are some rate limiting limitations. I can't tell you exactly what they are, but I think for the purpose of a hackathon, it shouldn't be a problem because most of it is going to be push rather than pulling information, and chances are that's going to be done on an ad hoc rather than any kind of scheduled basis. To Elaine's question, suggested using the stream. I'll be honest, I can't tell you the exact difference between a stream and a plugin. The steps that are outlined in the SDK, and I'm not a front-end developer, so I'm really weak on my JavaScript. The streams basically give you the component that allows you to visualize the data that's coming in from social networks. I can tell you what the data source is because that's generally creating a webhook to receive that data and to be able to process it. And I'm afraid I'd have to get one of my colleagues to come back to you and explain what the plugin does. The stream, just so you're aware, it's basically a vertically layered view of social networks, social network data that's been coming in. So you might set up a topic or a filter, and basically all the content that would match that would basically show up in a horizontal list, displayed as close as we can to giving you a generic view for Twitter, Facebook, or wherever it's going to be coming from. So it's essentially the visual representation of a search through your social media. Yeah, I'm curious to see what kind of apps you're able to develop over the weekend. It should be hopefully a lot of fun for everyone. I think one of the things as well, we're of course interested in any feedback and any troubles that you might have either getting set up or using the API. So by all means, feedback is encouraged. Really, I hope that you have some fun with it. And I think, on behalf of Hootsuite, thank you for being here and trying us out. To Brandon's question, if there is not a link, then I'll make sure that it gets posted right after this. Hey, Mohammed. Yes, several of my colleagues will be around for, I believe they're calling them kind of coffee chats, and they're happy to entertain any kind of recruiting related questions. I don't think we have a specific challenge. I'll be honest, based on some of the feedback that we had last hackathon, getting started with the SDK is sometimes a challenge in itself, which is why I strongly recommend going to the sample app and using that to get going. Honestly, I think anything that you're able to produce here would be great, and hopefully you're able to produce something that's usable and a little bit exciting as well. Okay, still happy to take any questions if anybody else has any. We are recruiting, Sister Supriya's question, we are actually taking in CoOp applications for January. If I believe that kind of is what you're asking. To Rishi's question on applications for summer, generally, I believe we start recruiting for the summer term in about February, maybe even late January. By all means, Supriya, please do apply, and Rishi as well. My team currently has a co-op working with us, and who I absolutely love having on the team. I've worked with a number of co-ops over the years, and every one of them has been better than the last, and quite frankly, often the smartest people on the team. It makes it a really exciting time. I don't know the answer to that one, Supriya. I'm afraid I'm just here for this presentation, so I don't know about the voice channels. To Katerina's, thank you. To Katerina's question, international students apply? I don't know offhand, but I'm happy to let one of my colleagues contact you with an answer to that question. If I can just take a note here. I've taken 3 items away here. One is for Elaine to have one of my colleagues get back to her on just what a plugin is, because I can't really answer that. I'm going to be posting the link to the slide deck as soon as I can, and then to Katerina, I will have one of my colleagues reach out to you with an answer to your question on international students applying for co-ops. I'm really curious if anyone wants to just volunteer any information. Which schools are you at, and is this your first time coming to either Hack the North or another student hackathon? First hackathon's exciting. I went to UBC, but my degree's in philosophy, not computer science. Cool. That's very cool. For others that have replied who weren't specific about their degree, can I assume computer science? Oh, cool. My minor's in math. My team at Hootsuite, I work within the product infrastructure portfolio, which means we're generally doing back end and infrastructure level work. The team that I lead right now is called Identity. And what that really means is that we're going to be overhauling our teams and organizations infrastructure. So currently, we've been dealing with a lot of technical debt, trying to kind of clear the path for that. But as we settle into a longer roadmap over the next 3 years, we'll be dismantling several of our existing services, continuing some of that extraction of a business logic from the monolith I mentioned, and building up a brand new domain model around our teams and organizations, which effectively gives us, well, will hopefully give us a more flexible model for permissions and for onboarding different styles of organizations into Hootsuite. My team also owns all our administrative and internal tools, and we'll be spinning up a brand new team, hopefully in the new year, to be managing that responsibility separately. Yeah, our first job with internal tools is actually trying to unify what's already there, because different teams around the company, like our customer success teams, our customer support teams, our sales teams, all have their own administrative tools. And so being able to unify them across the organization, either through a unified UI or at least a unified auth layer, is going to be the first step. Part of what we're trying to do is actually remove our old administrative tools and create a new one that's going to be a bit more useful, not only to internal people, but also to external partners that we want to have manage organizations on our behalf. So part of it is we need to look at what the usability is for people who aren't just doing it behind the scenes. We're going to actually be seeing and using our internal tools as a way into Hootsuite. Oh, my pleasure. I'm actually really excited about where we're going in the next few years. We're currently doing some long range planning, like I mentioned, and hopefully out of that, there will be a lot of hiring as well, and expansion of the team's mandates, and eventually getting into the point where we have an even more amazing offering for clients. Expectations for co-ops. Be curious. Come be prepared to learn. You're probably going to start by learning a programming language that you're not that familiar with. You're going to be looking at a lot of legacy and existing services that you're going to have to ramp up on. There's architecture. There is different ways of dealing with data that you might not have experienced yet. So there's going to be a lot of learning, and curiosity is going to be really important. The ability to reach out to other teams, to ask questions, and then to also take feedback from some of the more senior members and the managers on the teams. Generally, for myself, I like to bring co-ops on board when there's a discrete project and deliverable that they can do within the time frame they're going to be there. My current co-op, for example, is with us for 8 months. I embedded her on one of our sub teams for the first 4 months, and now she's effectively leading an initiative to introduce load testing across a number of our services, which is something that we haven't done a lot of at Hootsuite, but as we ramp up in scale, is going to become way more important. So she's actually already taken some amazing first steps at researching and comparing different options for load testing frameworks. And now she's actually busy integrating them into our build pipelines, which is just amazing. I believe she even sent out the first test plan today, which I need to read after this. I think to sum that up, my expectation for co-ops, you're going to be part of a team. We're not going to just give you busy work. We're going to find a big project for you to work on so that you can take something away and have a big deliverable at the end of your time here. And really, it's about teaching you, and as much as it is about us getting benefit from your being part of our teams. Yeah, I've worked with co-ops before who've said that at other places they're just asked to write unit tests or just do busy work, and no, it's not that. If it is that, then we're doing it wrong somewhere along the way, because in the end of the day, you should be learning how to be a hands-on software engineer, not just somebody who's, as you said, running errands. Nope, we've had co-ops come in after second, third, fourth year. It really doesn't matter as far as we're concerned. Like, the expectations for learning are the same. What you might be coming in with might be a little bit different, but then we just make more allowances if you're coming in as a less experienced person for you to ramp up. So maybe it's a month to ramp up instead of a couple of weeks, or maybe it's a couple of months if you're coming in really fresh. At the end of the day, we're looking at providing value based on who you are, not necessarily any preconceived expectations. So Hootsuite has adopted a remote first policy in terms of working. So everyone is considered a remote employee right now. Our office is available on an ad hoc basis at very, very low capacity right now. In some areas, for example, in Ottawa, which is where we have a lot of recent hires, there is no established office. In Vancouver, there is an office, but like I said, it's only 10% capacity, at least while COVID is still going on. And I think things are flexible and will adjust as new numbers come in around that. I believe I can't say all, but I think most jurisdictions in Canada are open for employment at Hootsuite. There may be one or two provinces that we don't have legal agreements with for employment, and that's mostly around tax and employment benefits. All right, so it is after 2:30. If there's any more questions, I will see if I can join the Discord chat for a little bit. But other than that, thank you all very much for joining. It's been a pleasure to interact with some of you, and I will follow up with the questions that I have taken away from those who've asked. So thank you all very, very much, and have a really fun time hacking this weekend.